Are efforts to make budgets more transparent a new idea? Not by a long shot, as the following slideshow demonstrates. It was assembled and researched by Thomas Greitens, director of the Master of Public Administration program at Central Michigan University, and was produced by Catherine Barrett and Richard Greene for Barrett and Greene Inc. At the beginning of the 20th century, reformers established the budget exhibit as a place where citizens could become informed about the crucial information contained in government's financial documents. From 1908 to 1911, hundreds of thousands of citizens attended these annual exhibits, including the most famous of them all, the 1911 budget exhibit in New York City. Citizens would enter a large exhibit hall and casually walk around exhibits that are similar to those in today's science fairs and museums. This photo, taken from the 1915 budget exhibit in Spokane, Washington, has a number of charts, graphs, and cartoons on display. The more popular themes they focused on were wasteful spending and benchmarking spending amounts to other local governments of similar size. Budget exhibits tried to engage and educate citizens on a topic that most citizens found intimidating and boring. Reformers assumed that if more citizens understood the budget, then they would put political pressure on elected policymakers that would help end the cycle of poor budgetary decision-making. In the first line of this placard, a sentence in Greek is displayed to make the point that the budget exhibit would teach citizens how to clearly read and interpret information in the public budget, whereas in the past, the budget may have appeared to be Greek to me. The second element is harder to catch and more interesting. On the sixth line, in small letters printed backwards, are the words, "like this." This was intended to show citizens that while they had to pause and think about the budget in order to make sense of it in the past, now, with the help of the budget exhibit, citizens would be able to clearly and quickly make sense of the budget. Who knows whether that really worked? On the left side of this placard, used in the 1908 budget exhibit in New York City, are items that should be funded by the city's budget. And on the right side are the outcomes of not investing in items for the city. For example, policemen versus burglars. However, some of the choices have been lost to time and make little sense. For example, hospital beds versus rotten fire hoses, or school baths versus school sinks, may reflect a pressing issue or scandal of the time that made more sense to citizens of 1908 New York. Cartoons played a key role in budget exhibits. In this placard, most likely taken from a budget exhibit in St. Louis, Missouri, a cartoon is used to show citizens the value of maintaining a city's water infrastructure. That is, if the infrastructure is not invested in and maintained by the city, then it will just cost more taxpayer money over time, with faucet drips turning into more and more coins of the public treasury lost. Does that sound familiar? While the use of charts to show the distribution of revenues and expenditures by encompassing categories is common in today's public budgets, it was unique and innovative at the turn of the 20th century. These charts come from the budget exhibit in St. Louis, Missouri. By this time, the concept of a budget exhibit had spread to most of the major cities in the United States, and implementing budget exhibits was viewed as best practice in communicating a city's budget to the public. Public budgets always reflect politics. Consequently, budget exhibits also conveyed political messages to citizens. In this message from New York's budget exhibit, the popular motto of the Show Me State of Missouri was used to urge citizens to demand that their elected policymakers show them where budget monies were actually being spent. Citizens are shown that $18,000 was requested for more attendance officers. Yet, when the budget was implemented, only $600 was actually used for attendance officers. The connotation is that the $17,400 not spent on attendance officers was probably consumed by corruption. But such political messages made many uncomfortable. By the 1920s, the use of budget exhibits was no longer a best practice within public administration because it was, quote, too political and not scientific. Consequently, public administration lost one of its original goals: to educate citizens on the complexity of governance, especially in regards to technical items like the budget. This presentation was brought to you by Barrett and Greene Inc. For more great resources like this, please visit greenbarrett.com.